Good morning.
Good morning.
How are you?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm doing well. Doing well. All right. Well, we'll go ahead and get started. Here we go. About they any work could dear which made some glad has like or last there shall us more good other no to just right by also up must they should much there out only her same order little yours matter now give, will find, and sent here who, them going see school, go take what new, come sir were let, no attention how account, did kindly, think hope, say year, please first, him weak, his wish, don't, got, over thing, make again, may Mr. received way, before want, to home, send return, after these, waste complete, told box, beg shipped, against those, returning furnish, size set, cover list far doing, hard wrote, when she, would can, letter been, do get, he time, one am, from our, had my, very was, me so, all if, on, but, with, this, at, as, not, are, be, will, have, yours, is that, for it, we, in, of, you, a, to, and the, I. All right. Let's do some names and addresses. Here we go. Mr. Thomas Whalen, Whalen, 120 Phelps Avenue, Bergenfield, New Jersey, 07621. Bernola Kisselberg, Kisselburg, Copper Bassin High School, Route 1, Box 250, Copper Hill, Tennessee, 37317. Pam L. Wheeler, Wheeler, Ottawanda Agricultural High School, Bolton, Mississippi, 38843. Bonnie A. Samen, Samen, Birds Hollow Road, Richmondville, New York, 12149. Barb Cochran, Cochran, 88 Educational Highway, Warren, Ohio, 45483. James M. Gregory, Gregory, 621 Crawford Street, Boone, Iowa, 50036. Sharon R. Rainey, Rainey, Holston High School, Route 2, Damascus, Virginia, 24236-0398. Edith, Edith B. Vasca, Vasga, 27 Buford Avenue, Dover, New Jersey, 07841. Larry A. Zeitman, Zeitman, 4261 Norwalk Drive, number Y207, San Jose, California, 95129. All right. Here are some common phrases. Which should, which the, which was, which were, which will, which would, which you believe, which you believed, which you feel, which you felt, which you have been, which you have had, which you know, which you recollect, which you recollected, which you remember, which you remembered, which you say, which you shall, which you should, which you understand, which you want, which you wanted, which you were, which you would, who believe, who believed, who believes, who can, who cannot, who could, who feel, who feels, who felt, who had, who have been, who have had, who he wanted, who he wants, who I want, who I wanted, who is, who recollect, who recollected, who recollects, who remember, who remembered. All right, this is the 1 and 1 drill. Okay, and these sentences focus on 1 and 1. Here we go. Who won the race? He has won the ticket. Which ticket won? Let one of us know. Have you ever won? We won the lawsuit. I won the argument. How much was won? They won the prize. I will take just one. There is one leader. He had one chance. He won the stay. It is only one kind. There is one method. Bring me one towel. I had one accident. She won my respect. It is one of those things. I need one or more of the leads. I really like that one. I want one of those. Who won the election? He won by a landslide. One of you should try it. One person has one vote. Who won the drawing? Which one do you like? He won very graciously. I observed only one. One of us should be there. Who won the last round? Take one of the chairs. They won their rights. The home has one bath. How much is that one? He bought one of the best ones. I will choose which one. There was one foul called. Leave that one alone. Let me trade one in. Joe won the contest. Did you see the other one? One of those is broken. Chuck won 5 games. I wonder who won it. Who did you say won? You should take one back. I won the poker game. He had one too many beers. They won every time. Try one of their desserts. Fix that one in the back. Have you got 1 or 2? Right. Let's do some consonant compounds. And this is the initial consonants GL. Here we go. The miser gloated over his glittering, gleaming gold. The glee club glanced at the gladiator. The glider glided off the glowing glacier. The glue and the glitter stuck to the glove. My glum turned to glee when she got her glad rags. A glimpse of the glamorous girl drew glances. The glacial glacier gladdened the gleaner. Gladiators gladly glance at the gliders. I would gladly be glamorous. Don't glance through your glasses at the glitter. The glare of the glaring glassware glitters. She gloated over her glandular globes. That gleam is glued to the gloomy. Glucose is glowingly described as glorious. The glutton's gleam was glistening. Glow, little glowworm, glean and glisten. They glided glibly on the glassy ice. Glaucoma glazes any glamour you might glean. All the glitter doesn't glow all the time. They were gloating in the gloaming. We're going to do one more. And these focus on the itty words. Here we go. Her sanity was questioned. Brevity is the soul of wit. We live in a nice community. This is a world of reality. They will report on their feasibility study. She receives an annuity. The continuity was interrupted. Her ability is amazing. The house was built with durability. Your quality is apparent. We believe in the equality. He overcame his disability. A guard dog was used for the security. In unity, there is much strength. They knew they have impunity. The bank showed its stability. The nobility in Europe is scattered. Our accountability can be verified. Your handwriting would not pass a legibility test. He is a liability in the office. All right. We're going to finish up. Let's see here. Yeah, we're going to finish up these final MT words. We've been working on these and we're almost done. Okay, here we go. Document, entertainment, abridgment, environment, appeasement, installment, enlightenment, discontentment, apportionment, elopement, claimants, appointment, disengagement, enticement, entrancement, adjournment, detriment, demented, advancement, enthrallment, presentiment, pronouncement, rearrangement, advancement, sediment, deportment, parchment, abutment, entailment, instillment, disfigurement, enlargement, sentiment, enshrinement, enthronement, insistment, envelopment, recommitment, escarpment, complement, confinement, abasement, abatement, affirmment, disbursement, discernment, agreement, alignment, achievement, requirement, amazement, amortizement, amendment, announcement, disembowelment, advertisement, emplacement, allotment, inclement, monument, torment, allurement, disenfranchisement, disenchantment, annulment, shipment, statement, investment, embodiment, firmament, adhornment, and divestment. All right. Now I've got some initials in context. My allergies now today are coming through my eyes. All right, here we go. Her German Shepherd is registered with the AKC. You can get the booklet from the GPO. Flight 740 shows an ETA of 7:45 p.m. Ship the merchandise COD. He took a room at the YMCA. The GNP is up this month. They were defended by the attorneys from the ACLU. The coin was dated from 37 BC. His prints were sent to the CID. He bought a GMC car. They were arriving on the HMS King George. DMT is a hallucinogen similar to LSD. The news came from the AP Wire. The doctor ordered an EKG because of his chest pains. The CPA prepared the tax return for the company. The AMA does not approve of the advertising. The show is on a UHF channel. The news came from the AP Wire. It is an old 45 RPM record. The man was pronounced DOA at Mercy Hospital. He was arrested by the MPs. Ian slipped into the bar with a false ID. The ABC revoked his liquor license. The CAA looked into the midair collision. The use of DDT was prohibited. All surplus property must be cleared through the GSA. They caught the thief by his MO. The workers were protected by an AFL-CIO contract. Jane is being audited by the IRS. The washer was shipped FOB Milwaukee. The attorney belongs to the ABA. He received his BA from USC. Send mail for the soldier to APO San Francisco. The EEG unit requires 220 volts. Peter served for 20 years with the LAPD. The long-distance call was placed through AT&T. He was an agent for the CIA. All right. Just two more drills. This is going to just be mixed consonant compound words. Okay, they're all mixed. Here we go. Grand, chirp, scorn, slurp, stash, throng, plunge, clink, stack, thorn, scratch, splash, sphinx, storm, gland, squirt, smirk, travel, gravel, shirt, sport, churn, stir, shaft, quarrel, charge, blunt, chance, blurt, drink, star, trend, chip, start, square, chirk, flirt, skirt, stuff, skirk, glint, stifle, chunk, twirl, blank, charm, stoop, front, trifle, glance, squirm, shift, snort, flint, snarl, spurn, swirl, gravel, blend, drift, shuffle. All right. And our very last one, it's going to be doublets. Here we go. Air freight, seat covers, mail processing, dried beans, mattress renovation, limited application, personal hygiene, graphic arts, forging, dyes, protective coating, golf courses, hearing aids, racing cars, fruit juice, visual aids, book binding, carbon paper, sample cases, book covers, lampshades, freight cars, die castings, musical instruments, horse racing, frozen foods, house movers, woven labels, paging services, box springs, plastic bags, credit cards, fundraising, plastic foam, door closers, safety belts, letter shops, graphic arts, piano tuning, plastic sheets, silk screening, edible nuts, mold making, shop towels, security personnel, trophy cases, outboard motor, tank linings, shower curtains, recreational facilities, radio frequency, video production, dark room equipment, military detachment, filtering chemicals, O-ring seals, fundamental issues, component units, stage production, band uniforms, wall panels, upholstery work, hand tools, trade shows, wood turning, Venetian blinds, window shades, roll forming, video cassettes, wall coverings, truck bodies, wallpaper paste, sonic boom, soft pallet, real estate, sauna baths, truck ramps, scrap metal, weed spray, pest control, third floor, fluid drive, cross brace, door door hardware, swift flights, fast pulse, bread crust, freeze dried, broad jump, steep grade. All right, let's move into literary. I'm just keeping my eyes wiped because I don't want my makeup to start running down my eye. I guess it's better than congestion in the nose, you know? I'll take it in the eye any day. All right. This is called Foreclosing on Farmers. And it's just straight literary. I'm going to start at 180 and I'll work my way to 225. Okay. All right. Here we go. The federal government keeps no national figures on farmers or ranchers who commit suicide, surrendering to the pressures of financial ruin when losing their land and livelihood. One farmer, Leonard Patterson, was on the verge of losing his heritage when he took his own life last November 1st. His cattle were already gone, sold at auction to settle a debt at the local bank. The Internal Revenue Service was demanding full payment of taxes on that money. $1 million federal loan was due. He had taken the loan out to restock the ranch after 1,000 cows were killed by a spring blizzard. He checked the numbers many times and knew there just wasn't enough money coming in to cover his debts. He perceived that he would fail at the age of 51 and could not stand it. One farm widow feels that her husband just wanted to earn a living wage above the cost of production. She feels that the government is not the problem, but that the world has become self-sufficient in food production and the supply is there, but not the demand. Suicides have captured dramatic headlines during the farm crisis, and most have been linked to mounting debt and impatient lenders. One major lender, the Farmers Home Administration, an agricultural department agency with its roots in the despair from back in the 1970s, has mostly maintained a hands-off policy toward the despairing farmers of the 2000s. They've foreclosed on relatively few farms. In November 2013, a North Dakota court ordered that the FMHA to halt any new foreclosure actions until the agency issued rules explaining the alternatives to farmers. That resulted in a 2-year hiatus in new foreclosures. Then the USDA published its regulations on foreclosures last year, but the situation could change dramatically. In the next couple of years, the FMHA could expel thousands of farmers from their land. They are often called the government's prime farm lender of the last resort because it serves borrowers who cannot get the money elsewhere. In January, they began to crack down on the delinquent accounts. Letters of delinquency went to 65,000 of FMHA's 270,000 borrowers. About 23,000 of those got particularly tough emails telling them to contact the FMHA officers or suffer the consequences. Generally, those people had been delinquent in their loan payments for more than 3 years. Had they been late on household loans, their furniture would have been repossessed long ago. The FMHA says 8,000 to 9,000 of those heavily burdened farmers failed to respond to the agency notices. Under the rules, the agency will now accelerate the collections, meaning that hardcore delinquents will have to settle up, sell out, or be subject to FMHA foreclosure. As it stands now, the FMHA has the potential of foreclosing on as many as 9,000 farmers down the road. Comparatively, the agency foreclosed on 356 farms in the fiscal year 2013-2014, and shared foreclosures by other lenders on 1,066 farms for a total of 1,422. In the fiscal year that ended last September 30th, FMHA foreclosures dropped to 89 farms, with the agency sharing in 703 for a total of 792. This year, as of March 1st or 31st, the FMHA foreclosures stood at 34 farms, with action shared on 398 for a total of 432 since last October 1st. Foreclosures is the final legal act of hopelessness. Thousands of other farmers faced with the impossible debts are forced to sell out before that stage so they can pay all or part of their debts. The figures are sometimes questionable as to the cause of the farm liquidation. Some authorities contend that 30% or more of the nation's 2.28 million farms are in serious financial trouble, the kind in which new debts pile up on old ones. Reliable figures are available on the scope of the debt owed by the farmers. A recent report by the General Accounting Office, investigative agency of Congress, showed that of $212.1 billion in total farm debt, $168.2 billion is owed to 5 lending institutions. Farm Credit System, $65.7 billion, including $49.3 billion in long-term loans by federal land banks, and $16.4 billion owed to production credit associations for short-term operating loans. Commercial banks, $50.3 billion, including real estate, $11 billion, and non-real estate, being $39.3 billion. All right. Now I'm going to read to you decisions by majority. All right. Here we go. And let's start it again. Let's start it. This is shorter. I'm going to start this at 200 and I'll work my way to 225. Here we go. The concept of majority rule is deeply embedded in the foundations and the functioning of American democracy, but there are occasions when a simple majority is not considered adequate to justify a significant decision. Indeed, in some instances, such as trial by jury, a unanimous vote of the decision-making body is required. More frequently, a 2/3 or even a 3/4 vote is required under these special circumstances, where a majority vote is not considered sufficiently weighty under these circumstances. Perhaps the most familiar example of such a safeguard lies in the Constitution itself. When Congress undertakes to alter that basic document of American government, the concurrence of the 2/3 of both House and Senate is required to even propose an amendment. Then the approval of the 3/4 of the several states is necessary for the amendment to be ratified. In somewhat similar fashion, resolutions proposing amendments to the Constitution of South Carolina likewise require the approval of 2/3 of the membership of each of the House before they can be submitted to the various voters by way of referendum. And even in the meetings of the organizations, business groups, clubs, and many other bodies of individuals banded together for a common purpose, there are times when a simple majority vote is unacceptable. The following paragraph from Robert's Rule of Order of Parliamentary Procedure has this to say on the subject: as a compromise between the rights of the individual and the rights of the assembly, the principle has been established that a 2/3 vote is required to adopt any motion that A, suspends or modifies a rule of order previously adopted, B, prevents the introduction of a question for consideration, C, closes, limits, or extends the limits of debate, D, closes nomination or the polls, or otherwise limits the freedom of nominating or voting, E, takes away the membership or office. All of the above is by way of prologue to our recommendation that something exceeding a simple majority should be required within the U.S. Supreme Court, and perhaps state Supreme Courts as well. When ruling on questions of constitutional magnitude, it hardly seems consistent to require initiation by 2/3 of Congress and ratification by 3/4 of the states of a constitutional amendment, which thereafter might be altered through the interpretation by a one-vote margin in the Supreme Court. Yet time and again, momentous questions dealing with the basic framework of the U.S. government are decided by 5 to 4 votes within the Supreme Court. Thus, a single justice within that 9-member body often finds it within his awesome authority to materially and individually influence the course of the American government. Would it be entirely reasonable and appropriate to require that any judicial question of constitutional proportions be decided by at least 2/3 of the court? Far too often these days, the judiciary, and most especially the Supreme Court, undercuts the viability of our political system by assuming unto itself the function of social or legislative reform. That hazard will always be present and will vary with the nature and the opportunities of the justices. But the chances of irresponsible action might be lessened if a 2/3 rather than a simple majority be required to effect significant constitutional changes. All right. Now I'm going to read you Insanity Please. I'm going to read this at 225. Okay. All right. Here we go. A Scot named Daniel M. Naughton, tried in 1843 for shooting the secretary of the British Prime Minister, was acquitted on the grounds that he suffered from a mental defect. His case became precedent in Britain and in the United States, leading to the development of insanity pleas. Courts were unwilling to convict persons who did not understand their crimes or could not stop themselves from committing them. This brought psychiatry into the criminal justice system. A sizable segment of the persons involved in crimes were sent to mental institutions for treatment. By the 1960s, grave doubts began to arise as to the value of psychotherapy in the rehabilitation of criminals. Too often, it simply didn't work. About the same time, sociological explanations for the criminal behavior became popular. People who were disadvantaged were more likely to turn to crime. The theory behind this is that all children are born good and fall into crime because of their environments. And recently published 3-volume study by the late Dr. Samuel Yockelson and Dr. Stanton, Same Now, draws a different and somewhat shocking conclusion. Criminals, particularly habitual criminals, are born bad. Some, not many, can be habilitated, not rehabilitated. An article on their study, The Criminal Personality, appears in a recent issue of the Student Lawyer. It reports that Dr. Yockelson, a successful psychiatrist who wanted to contribute something to his profession, undertook a study of criminal behavior at a federal mental hospital in 2010. Later joined by Dr. Same Now, he examined 250 males who had been found not guilty by reason of insanity. Although the sample was not perfect, they came from all of these socio-economic backgrounds. Repeatedly, the researchers were disappointed to discover that the psychiatric treatment did not produce changes in their patients. They finally gave up trying to explain the criminal and set out to draw a portrait of him. They found that a criminal can come from any kind of home, rich or poor, loving or unloving. At an early age, he is restless, irritable, energetic, difficult to handle. He is unfeeling toward animals and human beings. He begins committing minor crimes early. One admitted 100 thefts before he was 8. Another claimed that he had pulled 200,000 crimes by the age of 40, although he had been arrested only once. This was characteristic. Most had committed hundreds of crimes by adulthood, far more than the authorities knew about. They thought about the crime constantly, although most would wait until the right moment to commit one because they didn't want to get caught. They habitually lied. When caught, many faked insanity to avoid jail time. The researchers found that the criminal believes that the world exists to serve him and that his rights transcend those of others. This results from a colossal but easily bruised ego. He will embrace almost anything, even occasional virtue that boosts his self-esteem. The psychiatrist developed a program that sought to change these men by wedging them into a narrow moral straitjacket, a program for sainthood. They had to learn routine responsibilities and avoid alcohol and adultery. Even their thoughts had to be pure. Predictably, only 30 survived the 500 hours of therapy under this program, and only 9 are considered complete successes. Dr. Yockelson wrote that few criminals are treatable. Whether this theory is any more accurate than earlier, one remains to be seen, and there is a need for a broader study with a larger and more scientific sample. But the study, which took 15 years, has been widely praised. It certainly casts further doubts on the psychiatric approach to the crime. It seriously weakens the case for permitting insanity pleas in all but the most obvious cases. This is an area that deserves legislative attention. Society is certainly tired of seeing cured criminals strike again. How are we doing on time? All right, go ahead and get started with our Q&A. We'll start with the Doughboy transcript. Okay. All right, and looks like plaintiff is questioning. I'm going to start at 180, but I will work my way to 225. Okay, here we go. I just wondered how you knew that you hadn't read them if you are not sure what they were. I will take your word for it that you didn't read them, but that is why the series was done from 2002 to 2003 up to about 2003 through the NSPI and NSPF. There was a volume that you can buy for $375 from the NSPF, or I will be happy to give you a copy for copying charges if you want it from me, though it doesn't copy very well. It is several inches thick. Does that confirm that you haven't read it? Yes. Does anybody at Doughboy have a copy of those studies? Do you know? I don't know. Who would be most likely the person to have a copy if anybody was interested and got a copy? I don't know. If I asked you to give me the name of the person that would be most knowledgeable in the swimming pool safety at Doughboy today, whose name would you give me, if anyone's? I suppose I would give you Mr. Dave Nelson. Anybody else? President of the company. Anybody else? No. Would that be true during the whole time you have been there? Would he be the name? He always has been the president since I have been there. In your opinion, would he be the person who knows more than anybody else at Doughboy about swimming pool safety during the time that you have been there? Yes. He is the president of NSPI? Yes, he was. Yes, he is. Have you ever served on any NSPI committees? Have I served? No. Did you have anything to do with the creation and printing of the Safety First booklet? No. Did you review it at all? I mean, did the people ask you what you thought about it before they put it in final form? I don't recall that I saw it until after it was already printed. Do you claim to have any familiarity at all with the above ground pool standards that apply to these pools that we are talking about? I have seen them and read them. You don't claim to have any specific knowledge or expertise on them? No. You didn't participate in reviewing any of them? Clarence Smith told us that he was on the committee for quite a number of years for Muskin and Doughboy, and that they circulated different drafts and recommendations and thoughts and so forth were exchanged. Did you participate in any of that process at all? No. I believe you indicated that you have a pool at the present time? Yes. What kind of a pool do you have? A Doughboy. What kind of model number, year, and model? I am going to object to this and instruct the witness not to answer. Why not? It is not relevant. Why is it not relevant? Not relevant to what? To this case. Doughboy pools are not relevant to the case. The fact that the treasurer of the Hoffinger Industries owns a Doughboy pool is not relevant to this case. I am going to ask a number of questions on this. I guess your attorney will tell you not to answer every one of them that he feels not to answer. I have traveled a long way to come out here. If we have to continue this, I will have to ask the judge for sanctions. Good luck on that. How long have you had the above ground pool? Objection, don't answer. Is the pool a uniform depth or a variable depth? Same instruction, same objection. Does the pool have any no diving signs on it? Same objection, same instruction. Have you ever seen people dive into your pool? Same objection, same instruction. Have you ever dove into your pool? Let my objection stand until he starts asking something relevant. When did you purchase the pool? Are you instructing him not to answer all of the questions? Yes, that is right. Did you get the sensible way with the pool, with the original pool? Did you get one later? If not, why not? Do you have any pool rules that go with the pool? Well, objection. There is just a multitude of questions that I would like to ask. Without knowing the answers to some of them, it is hard to formulate all of the different questions. I think I have given the general gist for the judge to read the transcript and get the general gist of what I wanted to ask about the pool and so forth, and the use of the pool, what this witness knows about the use of the pool, and reserve my right to continue the deposition in Springfield or another place that the court feels is appropriate. Okay, well, also, have you owned any other pools besides the current pool that you have? Are you instructing? Same instruction. Without knowing the answer to that, there are dozens of questions that I want to ask depending on the answer. Again, I reserve my rights to ask all of those questions. If the answer is no, obviously that would be the end of the questions. If it is yes, there would be a lot of other questions that I would like to ask him. I just assume, again, without asking all of the questions, if I ask him a series of questions about different swimming pools that he swam in over his lifetime, I assume that you are not going to let him answer all of those questions. That's correct. Are you familiar with the Feet First Time program? Go ahead and answer that. The what program? The Feet First Time. It is sponsored by the American College of Neurosurgeons. Not specifically, no. Are you familiar with the Alan Doris report that was put out by the NSPI and the NSPF in 2016? I don't think so. It had to do with signage, swimming pool signage. No. Mr. Johnson, when he was here earlier, said that there were 3 meetings for the Above Ground Pool Standards Committee this year. You didn't attend any of those, did you? No, I did not. And I think I asked you if you were in any NSPI committees. I would like to ask you whether you were on any committees or not, which you told me you were not. Have you had any opportunity to attend any committee meetings of the NSPI, different committees, any subcommittees? No. Do you review the pool magazines when they come out monthly, the trade magazines? Some of them. What some of them do you review? Well, there is one publication that comes in. I don't recall the name of it. It comes in by my name, and well, there are 2 principal publications, and I'm interested in knowing about the one called Pool and Spa Merchants. Also, an 8.5 by 11 job. It is a big one. 8.5 by 11, I think it is called Swimming Pool Weekly or Swimming Pool something. It has something, it usually got a blue and white, it has a blue and white border, and yes, I have seen that. Yes, I have seen both of them. Do you get either one of those or both of those to look at each month at the present time or at any time that you have been at Doughboy? Yes. What period of time that you have been at Doughboy have you had access to those each month? I don't remember specifically the time. We used to circulate the smaller of the 2, swimming pool age, whatever it is. There is a circulating list and the finance department was on it. It is usually about 6 months old by the time that I got it. Okay, did you ever review either of those magazines to keep up on the litigation information? No. Is there anybody at Doughboy that reviews those magazines to keep up on the litigation information? I just assume you would, or someone in your department would, since you take care of the litigation files. But in fairness, is there somebody outside of your department who reviews it for the information? Whether someone reviewed it for that specific information or not, I don't know. If you don't know, who would know? I suspect you would have to ask everybody who looked at the magazines whether they reviewed it for the purpose. Well, is there anybody else at Doughboy or Hoffinger Company that has a responsibility to keep track of the litigation in the swimming pool industry besides your department as one of their assigned responsibilities? No. Through this Warren Company or NSPI or some other group, do you attempt to keep track of the litigation that is going on against the other above ground pool manufacturers also? Yes. Why do you do that? For the purpose of evaluating different defense postures. I am sorry, did you get the answer? Yes, I did. When you say defense postures, what does that mean? Evaluating someone else's case, if they have one, to determine whether or not there was enough similarities between the case and any cases that we may have. If they were successful, what worked for them, and what they do and what didn't work for them. What about the cases that are lost? Do you look at those too, or do you just look at the victories? No, we look at the losses too. Okay, are you familiar with the kayak case that was tried in West Virginia in February and granted a verdict of $3 million for the plaintiff? Are you familiar with that case? Not specifically, no. Do you even know who Kayak is? I have heard of the case, yes. It is an above ground pool manufacturer. Are you aware of that? I think so. I have heard of the name, yes. Is it an above ground pool manufacturer? Are you aware of that? I think so, yes. In your department, you don't have any dealings with the dealer, distributor, retail people, do you? What kind of dealings? Any kind of dealings, I guess. The credit and the collection is under my department. That would be the only function? Yes. You don't travel around and meet these people as part of your general duties? No. Do you or your department, have you done any work on this program that Dave Nelson told me about some time ago, where you have been contacting your dealer, retailer, distributor to get the customer list? I assume the answer is no based on your prior answers, but I just want to make sure. Run that past me one more time again. I have been told that here and before and so forth, that Doughboy and a lot of the other above ground pool companies, for that matter, that they made an effort to get the customer list. That would mean people that buy Doughboy products from them. That is what I took it to mean. Customer list from the retailer distributor companies. And I am going to inquire whether or not your department had anything to do with the effort. The letter that went out under the signature of our customer service manager, yes. Is that customer service under your division of your department? No, it is not. Customer, we provided the labels for the letters. Oh, okay. Whose name would that have been? Mr. Brown Smith. I still didn't get the last name. Smith. Tough name, counsel. Wait a minute. Let me correct that. I think that letter went out under Mr. Nelson's signature. It sounds more likely to me. Yeah, the letter to the dealers went out under Mr. Nelson's signature. But as far as keeping track of the responses and everything, that is not part of your department. The responses would come back. No, we are keeping track of that in the customer service department. Customer service department, okay. Is there anybody at Doughboy that you are aware of that is in charge of sending out the retrofitting package? Do you know what a retrofitting package is when I use that word? Retrofitting package to your prior pool purchasers. That's being conducted through the customer service department. That goes through them. Oh, okay. What is in that package? Do you know? What will be in that package, or what is in the package, whatever is correct? Well, I don't recall these specific items in the package. Have there been any retrofitting packages actually sent out by Doughboy? Not to my knowledge, no. The warranty cards, are those in customer service too when they come back into the company? Right, yes. Well, I guess the last question I have, I gave somebody a shot at this one yesterday, but they blew it pretty badly. I will give you one last chance to make a prediction on who is going to win the basketball game tonight. If you don't know which basketball game I am talking about, I will withdraw the question. I presume that you are talking about the Lakers and the Pistons. That is the only one that I know of. That is the only one that I know of as well. Who is going to win? I suspect maybe tomorrow night the Lakers may get on track again. Well, I hope so. I don't want to take them down on 4 games. I don't think they will go down on 4. Okay, I don't have any other questions. Okay, let's stipulate by counsel to release the original deposition to the witness, that the witness will make any corrections he deems necessary and sign the deposition under penalty of perjury, that the witness will send the original back to the reporter, who will maintain custody of the original until the time of trial. So stipulated. That kind of throw you off. All of a sudden he's talking about the Lakers. Like, what does that have to do with it? I kind of thought it was funny when he was asking him all kinds of questions about his own personal, swimming pool. All right, how are we doing? All right, we'll do just a few more minutes, and I'm going to read this at 2:25. All right. And it looks like this one has defense questioning. Here we go. I'm showing you what's been marked Exhibit 27. It's a diagram that you've testified to that you drew in part that Mr. Myers added to, I believe. Is that correct? Yes. On that diagram, I'm going to show you Exhibit 28, which is a diagram that you drew yourself. Is that correct? Yes. On Exhibit 27, you said, let's hang this up here. You said that Mr. Myers drew these lines here, and for the record, I'm pointing to the second set of lines over and then down back on the freeway, which were characterized as ramps. Is that correct? Yes. But he didn't draw any crossroads going off into the desert in either direction, did he? Look at your exhibit you're drawing, Exhibit 28. You've drawn Holleran Springs Road seems to go east and west, the opposite direction of the I-15, right? Mr. Myers didn't draw that in, did he? No. Did you find that significant that he didn't draw that in? No. How much through the course of your duty as a patrol officer over the numerous 15 when you were out there on patrol, the 2 times that you were assigned to patrol, how many times would you say that you have? Well, hundreds. Okay. Just let me finish my question before you respond. How many times have you driven past an off-ramp not on a freeway? Hundreds. Hundreds. Okay. And of those times that you have driven past the off-ramp, how many times would you say that you observed the on-ramp on the other side? Hundreds. In fact, frequently when you have an off-ramp, we must have an on-ramp on the other side. Wouldn't you say, based on your experience as a patrol officer? Yes. So if one didn't know what he's talking about when he's talking about an area and he draws an on-ramp, he wouldn't probably draw an off-ramp on the other side, would he? Have you ever had that experience? Would draw an on-ramp or off ramp, the opposite, whatever it is. I'm not sure. I really don't understand what you are trying to ask me. You asked him to draw the area. That was the purpose of this drawing or the diagram. No, I didn't ask him to draw the area. What did you ask him to draw? I asked him to tell me which direction he was going in the truck and the Jeep. That was based on your part of the drawing, right? Yes. He didn't know the area. And so then what he drew was these ramps, right? No, he didn't draw the ramps. What do the lines that he drew represent? Those represent the direction of travel that he took when he exited the freeway, got off, dragged the bodies out, and then drove off. He said to you that they got off the ramp, killed them in the Jeep here, drove over the freeway, back down the ramp, and on the freeway down toward the dirt road. Isn't that what he said? Yes. And you were convinced that he didn't know the area then, is that correct? Yes. So he doesn't know the crime scene where the bodies were located? That's not necessarily true at all. There's other considerations. Did he ever describe the Holleran Springs Road area? Yes, he did. He said it was desert, rock, and sandy. The desert, rock, sandy is the entire freeway, almost from Devore Cajon Pass to Las Vegas, isn't it? Yeah, but we are talking about where the bodies were. You were talking about where the bodies were? We were talking about where the bodies were. When he told you that the clothing that he was wearing at the time that he supposedly killed these people was thrown in the trash, did you attempt to determine if there was a trash receptacle or something in the area where he told you he had put it in the trash? I asked him if that trash had been picked up. He said yes, and I made no attempt to go dig through the trash looking for bloody clothing. Did you even go back to the area where he told you he put it in the trash? We did a search warrant at his residence and didn't find anything. When was that you did the search warrant? I would have to look at my report. I have no objection. That would have been on September 3rd, 2012 at 11 a.m. Did you check the trash in the area? No. You said in response to a question that the persons involved or descriptions of the persons involved in the robbery of the Staples, I believe it was, one of them had green eyes. Yes, I think it was Staples, yes. And I believe that you took a photograph back to or over there and showed it to the other witnesses of Mr. Myers, and they did not pick him out. Is that right? Yes, one witness. Did you show it to the other witnesses? No. Was it the booking photo that you had there? No. Was the photograph that you had from Mrs. Myers? No. Was it a booking photo of a previous arrest of Mr. Myers? Yes. I have no further questions at this time. Thank you very much, Mr. Bristol. Mr. Abackerley? Yes, thank you, Your Honor. Detective Gonzalez, you testified that the types of clothing were varied from the serious types of crimes in various people, correct? Excuse me? Well, is it unusual to see oversized clothing on certain individuals? No. Do you know if Lisa Bedrosian is a real person? No. And can you tell us what, if anything, you did try and determine if she was in fact a real person? Lisa, I'm talking about Lisa. What I do remember, the information that we had, that she lived in North Hollywood, but she had moved. So we ran her up in our computer, and Lisa, looking for a driver's license. Hopefully we could find her if she was a licensed driver, but we didn't find anything. Now, you indicated that you did in fact try or attempt to locate the clothing that the defendant was wearing when these murders were committed. Yes, that is correct. And did you do that by serving a search warrant? Yes. And yet you also said that you did give credibility to a statement about throwing the clothing away. Is that correct? Yes. Why would you give credibility to that statement? Because he's smart enough to get rid of blood-stained clothing. It's evidence. Is there a reason why you didn't try to determine when the defendant changed his appearance? No. Is there a reason why you didn't show the photographs that you had to the people that you had talked to in Los Angeles about this case? None that I remember right now, no. Okay, and with regard to the Jeep being the crime scene, you referred to the Jeep as probably being the primary crime scene? Yes, that is right. And what was the actual crime scene that you investigated in this case? On Holleran Springs Road and the I-15. And why is it that you focused on the crime scene as opposed to the suspected primary crime scene? Because we could never find it. When you say you could never find it, what are you referring to? We could never find the Jeep that was missing. All right, we'll do some read back. All right. And it looks like defense is questioning. This is a continuation from the read back we had the other day. And here we go. First time at 225. And where was he working at that time? I believe he was working in Long Beach. And you were going to drop your family off at home before you went to take him down to work in Long Beach? That's right. Had you had anything of an alcoholic nature to drink at his house? I don't drink, sir. Well, had you had anything to drink that day of an alcoholic nature? No, sir. Do you remember what day of the week this accident occurred on? It was a Sunday, sir. And what time had you gotten over to his house approximately? Oh, I don't know. It was in the afternoon sometime. And was your wife with you? No, sir. Where was your wife at the time of this accident? She was working at the time. Where was she working? Huntington Hospital in Pasadena. What time was she getting off work? She was getting off early that night. That is why I was to go home. Were you going to go to pick her up? No, she was supposed to go home by herself. Did she have her own car? No, but she had a ride. Do you know what time she was supposed to get home approximately? No, but I was to go home first anyway. I was supposed to meet her. All right, well, at some time in the afternoon, you had gotten over to this Mr. Carter's house. Is that right? That's right, sir. Did you have all 4 children with you? Yes, sir. And did he have any children? He has 2. And you had just visited with him that afternoon, is that right? Yes, sir, that's right. So we'll do it again at 200. There we go. And where was he working at that time? I believe he was working in Long Beach. And you were going to drop your family off at home before you went to take him down to work in Long Beach? That's right. Had you had anything of an alcoholic nature to drink at his house? I don't drink, sir. Well, had you had anything to drink that day of an alcoholic nature? No, sir. Do you remember what day of the week this accident occurred on? It was a Sunday, sir. And what time had you gotten over to his house approximately? Oh, I don't know. It was in the afternoon sometime. And was your wife with you? No, sir. Where was your wife at the time of this accident? She was working at the time. Where was she working? Huntington Hospital in Pasadena. What time was she getting off work? She was getting off early that night. That is why I was to go home. Were you going to go pick her up? No, she was supposed to go home by herself. Did she have her own car? No, but she had a ride. Do you know what time she was supposed to get home approximately? No, but I was to go home first anyway. I was supposed to meet her. All right, well, at some time in the afternoon, you had gotten over to this Mr. Carter's house. Is that right? That's right, sir. Did you have all 4 children with you? Yes, sir. And did he have any children? He has 2. And you had just visited with him that afternoon. Is that right? Yes, sir. That's right. All right, last time at 180. Here we go. And where was he working at that time? I believe he was working in Long Beach. And you were going to drop your family off at home before you went to take him down to work in Long Beach? That's right. Had you had anything of an alcoholic nature to drink at his house? I don't drink, sir. Well, had you had anything to drink that day of an alcoholic nature? No, sir. Do you remember what day of the week this accident occurred on? It was a Sunday, sir. And what time had you gotten over to his house approximately? Oh, I don't know. It was in the afternoon sometime. And was your wife with you? No, sir. Where was your wife at the time of this accident? She was working at the time. Where was she working? Huntington Hospital in Pasadena. What time was she getting off work? She was getting off early that night. That is why I was to go home. Were you going to go to pick her up? No, she was supposed to go home by herself. Did she have her own car? No, but she had a ride. Do you know what time she was supposed to get home approximately? No, but I was to go home first anyway. I was supposed to meet her. All right, well, at some time in the afternoon, you had gotten over to this Mr. Carter's house. Is that right? That's right, sir. Did you have all 4 children with you? Yes, sir. And did he have any children? He has 2. And you had just visited with him that afternoon. Is that right? Yes, sir. That's right. All right. Just let me know when you find your spot.
Okay.
Found it?
Yeah.
All right. So I'll go ahead and start. If you want, we can each take a Q and an A.
Okay.
There we go. And where was he working at that time? Answer, I believe he was working in Long Beach.
Question, and you were going to drop off your family, no, and you were going to drop your family off at home before you went to take him down to work in Long Beach? Answer, that's right.
Question, had you had anything of an alcoholic nature to drink at his house? Answer, I don't drink, sir.
Question, well, had you had anything to drink that day of an alcoholic nature? Answer, no, sir.
Question, do you remember what day of the week this accident occurred on? Answer, it was a Sunday, sir.
Question, and what time had you gone over to his house approximately?
Do you have gotten?
Oh, gotten. Okay. I struggle with that word sometimes. I don't know why.
That's okay.
Gotten. Gotten. I have, yeah, that makes sense. Answer, oh, I don't know. It was in the afternoon sometime.
Question, and was your wife with you? Answer, no, sir.
Question, where was your wife at the time of this accident? Answer, she was working at the time.
Perfect. Question, where was she working? Answer, Huntington Hospital in Pasadena.
Question, what time was she getting off work? Answer, she was getting off earlier that night.
Or you just have early?
I thought I stacked it. I have earlier. So I thought it was early. Oh, I thought it was earlier that night. Okay, early that night. This is why I was to go home.
Do you have this, not that? That is why?
I have this. Is it
Okay.
that?
Yes, that is why I was to go home. That's okay though. That's a common mistake, this and that.
Yeah, yeah. just keep going. I'll tell you in a second. I've been
Okay.
struggling with that.
That's okay. Question. Were you going to go to pick her up? Answer, no. She was supposed to go home by herself.
Question, did she have her own car? Answer, no, but she had a ride.
Question, do you know what time she was supposed to get home approximately? Answer, no, but I was to go home first anyway. I was supposed to meet her.
Question, all right, well, I don't think this is right. At some point in the afternoon.
Do you have at some time?
No, I need to work on those. I get those confused all the time.
That's okay. It's just time
At
instead of point.
Time. You had gotten.
Yep.
Is it okay?
Yep.
You had gotten over to this Mr. Carter's house. Is that right? Answer, that's right, sir.
Perfect. Let's see here. Question, did you have all 4 children with you? Answer, yes, sir.
Question, and did he have any children? Answer, he has 2.
Perfect. Question, and you had just visited with him that afternoon. Is that right? Answer, yes, sir. That's right. So I would just say gotten and then what is it, that and this?
Yeah, I did a practice test yesterday and I went through it like a lot of time. I actually really went through it really well. And like I went over it like 4 times.
Good.
I printed out my notes and I went through it, and like those little things like were adding up so much. Just like I was getting the meat of every question, but like an answer, but that as the like I'm looking at there is versus there was, there were, in the, on the, to the, like little things like that were killing me. It's like I was letting those little words go so that I could hang on to the big stuff, you know? So I was just kind of like my fingers kind of did whatever for the little words.
Yeah.
So I need to work on that. But
yeah, it usually is. It's usually the little words, you know?
Yeah, they're killer.
I'll see if I can find some other drills that focus on that, like that, this, in the, on the, to the.
And my endings, like my G ending.
Okay.
Sometimes I come back for something else.
Yeah. Final G, final Z, final D.
All of that, yeah.
Okay.
But I was so excited because like my dropping was minimal and so I'm like, I'm seeing improvement.
Good.
So
Good. And I love how you write down what you're struggling with. That's perfect. Because I always tell students, like, it's not going to go away. So write it down and practice that because it's going to keep coming up, you know?
Yeah. Like, yeah, it doesn't change. You have to deal with it or it just keeps happening. Like capacity, I always struggle with that word. It's just like little things. But
I know there's a brief for that. KP. I know there's a brief for it. Capacity.
I just figured I would just do KPAFT. That's what I came up with.
Oh yeah.
So
yeah, that's a good one.
So I might try that. I mean, I could just do that and it would be like a squeeze if I came back for the E, capacity.
Yeah. That totally works.
it's almost the same as how I learned it, but I don't know. My mind sometimes doesn't think the way that I learned it. It like I hear the word differently,
Yeah.
you know?
I do that too. Yeah.
But I wanted to ask you too, do you have a brief for rehabilitate or any of that family of words, like rehabilitated, rehabilitation, or do you just
No,
write it out?
I write it out, but I know there's got to be a brief for it. And I can find out. Rehabilitate, um, rehabilitation. Yeah,
That seems like one I would want to have. It comes up enough, I feel like,
yeah,
and it's rehabilitate 4 strokes
yeah.
for me.
Rehabilitate. Yep, that's right. Rehabilitate, rehabilitation. Yeah, that's 4 strokes. So I'll look into that and see if I can find a brief for those.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I signed up for I'm not going to tell you when I'm taking it.
Okay.
I'm not going to tell you when, but I'm
Okay.
taking it again.
Okay, don't tell me.
But it's coming up at some point soon. So,
okay. Yay.
And
Which one did you sign up for? The literary or the Q&A?
I signed up for the Q&A again.
Okay. Okay.
I think I'm going to pass it.
Yeah, you are. You will. You will.
Oh my goodness. So
You will. I have faith in
anyway,
you. I know you can do it.
I wrote an affirmation and I'm saying it every day. I posted it on the Encouraging Students Facebook group because I was like, this is really helping me. It's helped me a lot, actually. So
that's awesome.
it starts out with I have a solid foundation, because remember I was saying like I question my foundation, and so I was like, I'm not going to say that. I'm going to say I have a solid foundation.
That's right.
I'm ready.
That's right.
So
that's right. I love that. And affirmation is so important, and it's true. You subconsciously you do what you're saying to yourself.
Yeah. And I did. I had that take yesterday. I mean, I was so proud of it because finally, like, I had that moment where I was totally keeping up with 225. Like, it was happening, and I was like, yay.
Yeah, like all of a sudden it's clicking. Yep.
It's clicking, so
it's awesome.
I'm excited.
Awesome. Well, whenever you do take it, let me know how it goes.
I will.
Okay.
All right.
Well, you have a great weekend.
You too.
All right. And I'll talk to you soon.
Okay. Bye.
Bye, Catherine. Bye.